scored those two goals against Arsenal. He has consistently been doing it for someone at such a young age. We don't see players at that age, except barring, your Messis or Ronaldos. A lot of the biggest stars to ever touch the pitch and play were not delivering at this age.
Ronaldo, when he was younger, first at United, Itest would have hated him, fam.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But this guy, and Marcus Rashford has yet to prove, that this is just a blip. It's a purple patch. He's been doing it consistently over the season since he started. Last season, he delivered double digits in goals and assists. Like, come on. Like, what is the issue?
For me, I personally, would have Rashford as an impact player and try invest in a winger that gets involved in a build-up play more, creates more chances. Yeah,
but the club have got that. Do you realize that the club have got that in? There's two areas. So there's a man called Alex Terrace who's come into the football club, who on that left-hand side is going to be tasked with that. That isn't what Rashford's there for. Inverted forwards they're played in wide positions, but he's still a striker. They don't. Now, by the way, if you want someone to do that, you still use Rashford where you need him, and that's in those central areas, scoring goals and having that clinical touch. If you said to me, I want to find someone even more clinical, I can take that on board. But for me, and by the way, if you want to go with someone that's more creative in that position, great. But then you've got to then find someone who's going to replace his goals. Maybe that means the Cavani or Martial in the central area scores more. That's fine. But just, I want a more creative player. That means Rashford is trash. It's ridiculous, bro.
I test your argument. You want a more creative, someone who wants. He said more in the build-up. For one, is foolish because Marcus Rashford has a high number of assists and he's evolved in the build-up quite a bit. Thank you very much. If you actually watch the game, like I said, if you actually watch the game, you see how much he's actually involved in the game. But this is about it. Okay, so you want someone to replace Marcus Rashford? Name me this is the issue. Name me wingers in world football who have better numbers than Marcus Rashford, and I guarantee you, not many, bro.
In terms of goals, you're talking about, but I'll tell you the wingers that I would like. The type of wingers I like. I like Sane. I like Kamara. I like. I would bring in Zaha.
Okay, why? Okay, what's it? Why is Zaha?
For me, Zaha.
I want to jump.
No. I test. Why is Zaha?
On Zaha is unbelievable. For me, I believe if he was at you see, Terry always speaks about his numbers, but you could see now his numbers are increased because he's put in a different role. Yeah, first of all, he wasn't playing in a role where he'd score a lot. That's why his numbers weren't up there.
You could have assisted a lot, though.
What? Are you saying roles are a thing? So wait a second.
Yeah.
So Marcus Rashford is in a role where he doesn't need to be crossing the ball, dribbling at people as much as you want him to, and that's an issue. But now that Zaha, it wasn't in the role to score goals, and now he is. It's okay now.
Hold on. KJ, can I just say, one thing people don't realize is when these players play for smaller teams, teams that are tailor-made for these players, the likes of Harry Kane, Zaha, Danny Ings, all their chances go to these players. Hence why they might get more goals. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily. No. It's true. It's true because when you're in a Man United, when you're in a Man United team, you've got Rashford's got to share those goals and assists with the likes of Bruno, with the likes of Martial or whoever. Do you know what I mean? He might not get as much as an output as them, man. But even Zaha, who you're talking about, he has stepped up. He's been at Man United before, and he's proven that he's not good enough to play at that level.
No, let's not do that. Let's not limit that. This might be biased. Hopefully, we'll be watching this. But listen. At the end of the day, right, Zaha was not presented with a good enough opportunity at United. We have to be fair there. And he wasn't given the right coach to work under. And that's the facts. Me personally, has the Zaha ship sailed? Yeah, it has. He's a bit, the maturity of his game. I don't think it'll be a suit
and do you know what, Z? I agree with you quite a bit there. I feel that I felt sorry for him at his time at Man United. I don't think he was given a fair chance. My criticism is just that I don't see him produce enough when I think even in the team he's in, I see him get into really good positions and then the final ball for me too often hasn't been hasn't been good enough. This season, though, he started off very well, and I'll praise him for it. And I'll praise him for it because that's what I've asked for, and that's where I'm not biased like eye test. So if I turn around and say, listen, I think Zaha's good, but for him to go to very good or above, he's got to triple the amount of goals and assists that he got in comparison to last year. If he starts doing that, you'll see me say he's moved into that level now. I won't hold a grudge against the player. And if that's what you prefer over Rashford, that's fine. But you are proving my point as to why the eye test is flawed massively, because you're going on preference, bruv. It's like you're going on preference.
I'm still confused. No, I'm still confused.
But it comes down to this, guys, because we're gonna be. But it becomes about preference, and I respect your preference, but you use your preference to say, but Rashford's not good enough. Rashford's not this. I want him involved more. Just a little statistic as well. Rashford receives the ball 22 times per game in the opponent's half compared to just 13 of that of Traore, meaning he's involved in more of Man United's attacking play than Traore. But do you know why he gets it more? Because Man United attack more. So that's a statistic that's always going to be in Rashford's favour because of how we play football. So he's actually factually involved in more attacks per game than Traore is. But the difference is he'll have less room to run and dribble and pass into because of the low block, meaning he has to do more sideways passes. He has to move the ball more, meaning he has less time to be impactful to the naked eye. And if you don't know that about football, I feel sorry. This isn't FIFA. I know on FIFA, when you play FIFA, no one plays low block. Do they? Everyone attacks.
Terry, no, they all play low block. That is their meta, bro. Like,
really?
Don't get it twisted, fam. Yeah.
KJ, let me just say something. The funny thing is, right, and I'm going to say this. Remember when I say this, right? Yeah. When Haaland, if he eventually gets to move into the Premier League, right, a lot of people will start saying Haaland misses a lot of opportunities. He takes a lot of shots before he scores. I'm telling you this for a fact.
Same thing with Timo Werner. What people realize is that people are seeing Timo Werner miss chances now. They didn't realize Timo Werner was missing these chances at Leipzig.
This is why I say when people talk about stats aren't key. I see so many people bigging up Haaland, but check how many shots he has per game before he scores.
Well, conversion rate is very, very important, which is why I'm not writing off Martial, because Martial's conversion rate for the last 3 up until this season, where it's awful, it's been above 25%, which is massive, and it's huge, and it really, really is. A comment here from Zaha says in the EPL, Rashford has 41 goals in 151 games, Salah 83 in 130. So you can't, if you do the maths, you can't put them in the same bracket. So there's 2 things. My percentage was based on goals and assists, but equally, with Mo Salah, he had that one mammoth year at 117%, which skyrockets him. In the last 3 years, it's been 71%, 66%, and 76%. What I was talking about is where Rashford finds himself over the course of the last 12 months. That's key because Rashford's got to a point where he's producing in nearly 80% of games at 22 to 23. Mane and Salah were not doing it in the Premier League at that age. And that's my key point here. We've been half an hour on this, and I think it's a great conversation because my point about Rashford isn't that he can't get better. I can see he can get better. I want to see him dribble a couple more times a game, cross 2 more times per game, create another chance per game. Of course I do. But he's written off at 22, 23 years of age. People are saying, he's never been clinical. That's what you'd say about a 33-year-old that misses a chance. He's never been good enough, him. You don't say that about a kid. That's a weird thing to say.
I'm still confused, though. I'm still confused. Sorry. I'm still confused. You said, when you're talking about Zaha, you're saying, the reason why he hasn't got as many goals as Terry wants is because his role, that wasn't his role in the team. He's played in a different role, but now he's been more in a central role. He can score more goals and he's playing well. But why can't roles be applied to Marcus Rashford?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? Expectations.
Wait, Monster. Let Artest answer that. I want to hear it from his mouth. Why can't roles be applied to Marcus Rashford like Zaha then?
Okay, no problem. If Rashford is playing in the inside forward role and his main role is to score, and he doesn't need to dribble as much, create as much chances, cross enough. For me, if that's the case, and I believe he should be scoring even more than he is, because last season he only scored 11 goals from outfield play. Yeah, 11. If you're not going to do the other part of the game, yeah, which is chances create, dribbling, crossing, I believe, and you're going to be a goal scorer, you need to be scoring more than that for me if you're going to be that type of player.
Right. So let me just ask one thing. You said if that's his role, bruv, that is his role. And the next question is to you. That's a fair bit of criticism and a fair bit of constructive criticism. My point to you would be, one sec, sorry, Yusuf. My point would be, how does that compare last season to other 22-year-olds in the elite leagues across Europe? Because that's the barometer, isn't it? You can't compare him against a 28-year-old in his pomp when he's 22. How many other 22-year-old inside forwards scored 11 league goals from open play last year in Spain, England, Germany, and Italy? Inside forwards, not strikers. How many got 11 or more goals from open play in his age bracket between 21 and 23, say? How many did it? Now, you must know because you don't think he's doing enough. But to say someone isn't doing enough, you have to understand the level at which you're judging somebody. For me, he's one of the highest scorers from open play in those top 4 leagues for a player in his age bracket. So I go back to my original point 34 minutes ago now. Why is the barometer for Rashford so high? Why is the bar for him and him alone so high? Because if he isn't good enough in what you've just said at delivering goals at 22, barely anybody in the world is. Why is Rashford criticized? So you've literally proved us right, because you know you can't answer it, because you know he's one of the highest goal scorers in his age bracket in one of the top 5 leagues. You know he is.
Can I just say, remember when we had the Chelsea Man United preview and how Pope was there? And I said the same thing. I said in his age bracket, remember, because obviously his age bracket's Mbappe, maybe João Felix, Dembele, all these guys. I asked, in his age bracket, barring Mbappe, who is doing better numbers than these, whether it's scoring goals, getting assists? Them lot will tell me Dembele is better. Yet Rashford's outputs is almost 10 times better than Dembele. Dembele don't even freaking play for. He don't even play.
Dembele's been injured.
Well, Dembele's been injured.
He's a much better player than.
He's a much better player.
He is, but he don't play. He don't play. And if he isn't fit, like Michael Owen was the best striker in England for a long time, but once his hamstrings went, you wouldn't have bought him, would you? I mean, it's all part and parcel. But this is the thing when it comes down to it. Like, Rashford's in a really high bracket of football players. The criticism that he receives is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And look, I know how good Mbappe is. I've seen him play internationally in the Champions League. But on the Champions League, like, Rashford's got 5 goals in the Champions League this year. Like, what's your view on that eye test? 5 Champions League goals in 4 games.
Just saying, Mbappe.
Well, it proves my point. Because 3 of those goals came off the bench. And I believe he would be a very good player off the bench.
But then 2 of those goals came from the start.
I want him to play in the future. Yeah, that RB Leipzig substitution, that was deadly. That's the role I want him to play.
I'm just saying,
I think he's an impact player.
I'm just saying, yeah.
And who would you put?
Him and Mbappe are in the same. Him and Mbappe are in the same group, you know. And Rashford so far has outperformed Mbappe. I'm not saying he's not better. Obviously, we know this, but I'm just saying he has outperformed him by far so far this season in the same group in the Champions League. I just want to ask you a key question. Do you know how football works? You say you want Marcus Rashford to be a super sub at the age of 23. Do you know squad rotation thing? He's going to have to start games. He's going to have to play loads of games.
And I want to buy.
I'm sorry, but if your 23-year-old is a super sub, sell him. Sell him, because you'll never be good enough. Because what 23-year-old is a super sub?
Now, there's a couple of points that were made that I don't think really reflect the picture. There's a big difference between games played and minutes played. Two of our main players, Martial and Rashford, they've played under Mourinho for 2.5 seasons. They didn't start together. They would get rotated. So if you look at their minutes, they're much lower than the likes of Salah and Mane. Now, one other thing that I feel we always get wrong is the peak years. Now, some players, they peak at a younger age, others peak at a later age. That's why I don't say I know Rashford's going to become better. This might be his peak. I think he's going to improve, but that's not necessary. And one final thing that I want to bring to everyone's attention is, for me, an attacker's output is his currency. That's all that matters. Rashford is an attacker. He needs to produce. And against the top 10 last season, Rashford has 11 goal contributions. That's more than anyone in the league. He produces against the top 10. Rashford is a clutch player. If
He's
you
a
need
big-
him to
he's
win
a
a game,
big game
he will win
player.
the game. Yes,
He's
that's
Scored
what
one
you
against
need.
PSG twice.
See, I'll be honest with you. I like Rashford because I think